What's up guys, today we're going to be going over the revamped Ikelos sniper rifle and be breaking down all the best perks and overall figuring out what the god roll is. Then we'll also be comparing it to a few different snipers in this video, for example the distant tumulus, then also the supremacy and some other kinetic snipers. First, look at the magazine options on the sniper. Pretty much for every sniper in the game you want a pitted mag because it will allow you to get to the highest magazine count of every sniper, and it also doesn't hurt your reload speed. For example, extended mag also goes to 7 magazine for a 140, but it does make your reload speed go lower, so pitted mag is pretty much the best option. Extended isn't that bad, but the reason you want a 7 magazine is so you can use something like boss spec or major spec, which is going to be 7.7% more damage. Now look at the left column perks. There's going to be 5 perks, which is pretty good because there's really only going to be 2 that are relevant, which is going to be triple tap and 4th times the charm, and the other ones are going to be pretty much useless for PvE. There is feeding frenzy, but that's not going to really work out that great on a sniper. So pretty much the 2 main ones we're going to be looking at are going to be triple tap, which is going to be where we get 1 ammo back for every 3 precision hits. Then we also have 4th times the charm, which is going to be a similar concept, but now every 4 precision hits we get 2 back. So starting off with a 7 magazine and triple tap, we'll be able to shoot off 10 straight, which is pretty good. Then with 4th times the charm, we'll be able to shoot off 11 straight. So 4th times the charm is a little bit better, being able to do 11 shots. And as you might have seen when you proc triple tap or 4th times the charm, the ammo that is added to the magazine is actually pulled from thin air and not reserves. So you actually get free ammo with these 2 perks. It's kind of hard to show off on paper how these perks increase your DPS, because if you look at 1 magazine without the perk, then 1 magazine with triple tap or 4 times the charm, the DPS will be more or less exact same. But how it does increase your DPS is, for example, let's say a boss takes 20 sniper shots to kill. Without triple tap or 4 times the charm, that'll take 3 magazines, so 2 reloads, to be able to kill the boss. But if you have triple tap or 4 times the charm, you'd be able to do it in 2 magazines, which means only 1 reload. So you would save the time of that second reload with one of these 2 perks, meaning you'd kill the boss slightly quicker, meaning your DPS would be a little bit higher for that boss fight. But one thing that is very obvious even on paper is the fact that the total damage output with these 2 perks is a lot higher because of the fact that you get free ammo. The base ammo reserves of this weapon is 21, but with triple tap that would go up to 30, and then with 4 times the charm that would go up to 33. Now moving on to the right column perks, there's going to be 5 perks once again, and this time there's going to be 3 perks that we're going to look at: box breathing, high impact reserves, then also multi-kill clip. So first looking at the base damage on Greg, we hit 10,361. Now looking at the base rate of fire of 1 magazine, then also 2 magazines, which we're going to use for pretty much all of the DPS numbers in this video. 1 magazine took 2.5 seconds. Now looking at 2 magazines with max reload speed, it's going to take quite a bit longer at 7.124 seconds. So the base DPS over 1 magazine is 28,000, then over 2 magazines it's dropped down to 20,000, and those numbers aren't necessarily great. They're pretty average for a special weapon. Then look at the total damage output. Once again, it holds 21, 30, then 33 depending on the perk, and with 4 times the charm you'll get all the way up to 341,000 total damage, which once again is pretty average for a special weapon and nothing too crazy. Now look at the first damage perk, we're going to look at box breathing, which is where after you ADS for a short period you will get increased damage for that next shot. Then if you shoot or un-ADS you lose the perk, and that now hits 13,522 on Greg, which is going to be a 30% increase, which really isn't worth the trade-off of waiting just to do 1 bullet of 30% more damage. So if you did that over 1 magazine and just had the first bullet have that increase, that takes over 4 seconds, meaning DPS falls to 18.5 thousand, and that's only over 1 magazine. If you did that for 2 magazines, it'd be pretty bad. And the other option you can do with box breathing is wait for every single shot, and that will murder your DPS. It'll be very low. You may as well just use a primary. That will help with your total damage output, but it's pretty much never going to be useful. So I would never recommend using box breathing. They pretty much murdered the perk, and they really need to revert it to how it was. Or if they want to leave it how it is on the first bullet, it needs to be a lot higher percent than 30%. It's just not worth waiting 1 second per shot. The next perk we're going to be looking at is going to be high impact reserves, where rounds at the end of the magazine deal more damage. And this perk is pretty interesting. So pretty much how this perk works is based on how many bullets you have left in the magazine determines what stack of the buff you're on. And there's going to be 3 different levels of the buff. You have the base damage, then with the lowest stack of the buff it's going to be 11,638. Then with the second stack it's going to be 12,196. Then finally it's going to go up to 13,026. So looking at how this perk works, if you have over 4 in the magazine it's the base damage. If you have 4 or less it's going to be 11.6 number. If you have 3 or less it's going to be 12.1. If you have 2 or less bullets in the magazine it's going to be 13,000. So with 4 times the charm, our average damage per bullet is going to be 11,654, which is pretty good, which is going to be a 12.5% increase on average. Then with triple tap, even though we're only shooting off 10 bullets and the way the magazine goes up and down will be a lot different, it's still going to be pretty much the exact same average, which is kind of crazy how well they balance that at that 12.5% on average per bullet. So the DPS with high impact reserves over one magazine would be 31.5 thousand, then with two magazines it'll drop to just under 23,000. Then once again, looking at the total damage output based on what your left perk is, it'll go up to 384,000, which is starting to look pretty good for a special weapon. The last damage perk I want to look at is going to be multi-kill clip, which usually is a primary type perk, but we can also get it on the sniper. So if we get 3 kills first and reload, look at the damage on Greg, it's going to go up to 15,541. And the thing that is kind of cool about this perk is it actually lasts for 5 full seconds, but the perk starts when you're actually reloading, which is kind of weird. But you should be able to get off one full magazine pretty easily with this perk, which means over the first magazine you could have that full 50% the entire time at 42,000 DPS. And over 2 magazines, the second magazine would not have the perk and it'd still be roughly 25,000. So that perk is actually the highest DPS if you could pull it off. But for just general gameplay, a pin and mag, 4 times the charm, then also high impact reserves will be pretty much the best overall, then also really good for solo play. But let's say you're doing something with a fire team, for example a raid, we look at the distant tumulus, which also will have power cap through the next few seasons. This one can come with a pin and mag, clown cartridge, then also fire line, and is also a 140 RPM with a 7 magazine. One of the first differences between this and the Ikelos is you have clown cartridge instead of triple tap or 4 times the charm, which means you can still get up to 11 magazine, but it's not guaranteed every single time to be 11. It could be lower at 9 or 10 even. Any huge difference is clown cartridge, when it procs the perk, it pulls from reserves and not thin air. So when you have 21 ammo with this weapon, you have 21 ammo with this weapon. And look at the damage on Greg with fire line, we hit 12,513, which is going to be roughly a 20% buff, and the DPS over 1 magazine will be 33.8 thousand, then over 2 magazines 24.6 thousand. So the DPS of this is going to be a little bit higher than that of the high impact reserves on the Ikelos. But the total damage output of this weapon is going to be a lot lower than the Ikelos because of the fact that if you have 21 ammo, like we mentioned, it stays at 21. So only a total damage output of 262,000. Both of these weapons can be paired with Anarchy and increase their DPS by 14,457. Don't ask me why I have that memorized, but I do. And that would take the Ikelos DPS to 46,000 over 1 magazine, then 2 magazines 37.3 thousand. So that's actually a pretty solid combo. And the same with the distant tumulus. It's going to be 48.3 thousand, then also just under 40,000 over 2 magazines. So once again, those are actually some pretty solid combos. You could also use something like the Supremacy, which is going to be a kinetic sniper, once again with 7 magazine, then also triple tap. There will be no damage perk on this one, so it won't be necessarily better than the Ikelos or the Distant. And finally, another good option for the upcoming seasons will be Long Shadow, which you can get rapid hit or field prep plus triple tap. And once again, that'll be a good kinetic option if you want to use something, for example, like the Ikelos SMG, Seraph SMG, Seraph sidearm, or whatever it is, you know. But overall, the 2 energy snipers I showed off in this video will be the best DPS options for snipers, and the Ikelos will be really good for solo play with high impact reserves. Then the Distant Tumulus will be really good for fire teams with Fireline. The thing about the Ikelos is it's going to have way better total damage output by getting free ammo out thin air with triple tap or 4 times the charm, compared to the Distant Tumulus, which has 21 ammo. And even though Clown Cartridge can get 11 magazines, it's not going to give you more ammo though. So overall, I definitely think it's worth picking up Ikelos because of the fact that I think it's going to kind of replace Mountaintop in a way. Right now, in a lot of solo challenges and activities, a lot of people use Anarchy Mountaintop because it's very safe and consistent, and then also has really good total damage output, which is going to be very important for solo activities. For example, soloing a dungeon, you're going to need a lot of ammo to be able to kill bosses because it's just you. So if you use something with like really high DPS, for example, Wendigo, yeah, it'd do really good DPS, but then you'd be out of ammo and you're solo, then you're kind of screwed. So that's why people use Anarchy and Mountaintop. That combo doesn't have like insane DPS, but it has really good total damage output. And once Mountaintop is sunset out of the in-game, I think a sniper like the Ikelos with high impact reserves will kind of take its place in being one of those best solo DPS total damage output options. So it's definitely worth picking up, and I just kind of realized while making this commentary I forgot to show off how to get the weapon. So real quick, all you have to do is the weekly quest line that came out this week, where you first had to visit Sloan on Titan and do a weekly bounty, and there was 4 planets you had to visit, and every single time you got a new Umbral engram, which would come with one of the 4 new weapons: the Ikelos Sniper, the Ikelos SMG, the Slug Shotgun, and also the GL. So you get 4 of those along the way doing the quest, and once you're done with the quest line, you can then focus Umbrals at the Recaster into those engrams. So that's how you farm for the Sniper. Sorry it took that long in the video to say that. I forgot to put it in while editing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I definitely think it's worthwhile picking up the sniper. Another thing that I want to throw in before the video ends is that the Ikelos weapons can also create Warmind cells as long as you have a Warmind cell mod on, for example, Global Reach. So not that you're going to be using your sniper rifle for ad clear, but whenever you use the sniper versus like an ultra or a major, if you had Global Reach on, there's a chance that would create a Warmind cell. If it was an ultra, it would be guaranteed. And you know, that's a plus of the sniper compared to the others that you definitely have to keep in mind. And yeah, anyways, I think that's it. Let me know what you think about this sniper and which ones you're going to go for. Anyways, thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.